back to the channel. Today we're going to unravel some incredibly complex events in Genoa. Rumors are circulating around the Newman family, but what's the truth? In this video, I'll summarize the plot points that will be revealed in the next episode. Stay tuned to see what happens.
Welcome back to our channel, your premier destination for the most in-depth, thrilling, and comprehensive updates from the dramatic world of Genoa City. Today is a fantastic day to dive deep into the twisted, shadowy conspiracies currently gripping our favorite daytime drama. We have a massive, explosive prediction to unpack today, so settle in as we explore the darkest corners of the Abbott family's current nightmare and uncover the chilling truth behind a sinister mastermind. In the sprawling, unpredictable narrative of The Young and the Restless, few storylines have captivated and horrified audiences, quite like the insidious, creeping dread of Diane Jenkins Abbott's disappearance. For weeks, viewers have watched in mounting terror as a secret conspiracy has unfolded entirely in the shadows, orchestrated by a man who initially presented himself as a paragon of medical virtue and trustworthiness. Dr. Lawrence Markham, a psychiatrist who supposedly arrived to offer professional care and stability, has slowly unmasked himself as a calculating mastermind of psychological torture. The Abbott family, already fractured by internal discord and the chaotic return of Patty Williams, has been completely blind to the true nature of the predator operating right under their noses. Markham's facade of clinical professionalism has provided the perfect cover for a deeply sinister agenda, allowing him to isolate Diane from her support system and plunge her into a nightmare from which there seems to be no waking up. The suspicious signs leading up to this catastrophic climax have been meticulously breadcrumbed throughout recent episodes, painting a chilling picture of deception. Kyle Abbott, driven by a desperate, agonizing need to locate his missing mother, has been conducting a secret, high-stakes investigation of his own. Refusing to accept the superficial narratives and the distracting chaos caused by Patty Williams's relentless manipulation of his father, Jack, Kyle dug deeper into the shadows. He scrutinized old devices, decrypted bizarre messages, and painstakingly pieced together the fragmented clues Diane left behind before she vanished. His relentless pursuit of the truth, fueled by a son's unwavering love and a growing, sickening intuition that Diane was not merely hiding but was being held against her will, eventually pointed him toward a remote, heavily fortified mansion on the outskirts of Genoa City. This isolated fortress, shrouded in secrecy and protected by state-of-the-art security, stood as the physical manifestation of Markham's dark conspiracy. The tension reaches an absolute boiling point as Kyle executes a daring, incredibly dangerous infiltration of Dr. Markham's heavily guarded estate. Operating under the cover of darkness, Kyle navigates the perimeter with the stealth and precision of a man who knows that a single mistake could cost his mother her life. Every shadow seems to conceal a lethal threat, and the oppressive silence of the mansion amplifies the thundering beat of his own heart. He expertly bypasses the external security measures, slipping through a compromised entry point that he discovered during his exhaustive reconnaissance. As he moves silently through the dimly lit, sterile corridors of the house, Kyle's mind races with horrifying images of what he might find. He expects to discover Diane bound by physical chains, locked in a basement, desperate for rescue, and battered by the physical toll of her captivity. He steels himself for a traumatic reunion, preparing to break locks and carry his mother to safety at any cost. However, the reality that awaits Kyle behind the heavy oak doors of Markham's inner sanctum is infinitely more terrifying than any physical dungeon. When Kyle finally breaches the room where Diane is being kept, he is met not with the desperate, frantic relief of a hostage seeing her savior, but with an eerie, chilling domesticity. Diane is not chained to a radiator or locked in a cage. She is sitting comfortably, her posture relaxed, but her essence entirely eradicated. As she turns to look at her son, Kyle is struck by a wave of profound, paralyzing shock. The vibrant, cunning, and fiercely independent woman he knows as his mother is gone. In her place is a hollow shell, her facial expression completely blank, devoid of any recognizable emotion or maternal warmth. Her eyes, once sharp and calculating, are now glassy, vacant, and utterly foreign. It is a look of total psychological subjugation, confirming that the chains binding Diane are not made of iron, but of deeply ingrained mental conditioning. The horrifying extent of Dr. Markham's secret conspiracy is violently laid bare in this chilling encounter. Markham has not merely held Diane captive, he has systematically dismantled her psyche, employing advanced, unethical psychiatric manipulation to completely brainwash her. Through a relentless campaign of isolation, sleep deprivation, gaslighting, and carefully administered psychological abuse, Markham has rewritten Diane's reality. He exploited her pre-existing insecurities, particularly her lingering fears of abandonment regarding Jack and the sudden, chaotic resurgence of Patty Williams. By painting the outside world as a hostile, treacherous place where Jack has callously betrayed her, Markham has successfully positioned himself as her sole protector, her beacon of safety, and her absolute savior. The tragedy of this manipulation is magnified by Diane's own history. A woman who has spent decades masterfully manipulating others has now fallen victim to a superior, clinical predator who has weaponized his medical expertise to enslave her mind. As Kyle cautiously approaches, whispering her name, Diane's reaction shatters his world into a million jagged pieces. Instead of embracing him, she recoils with genuine fear and hostility, verbalizing the twisted, toxic narrative that Markham has implanted in her brain. She coldly informs Kyle that Jack is a traitor, a cruel man who threw her away the moment Patty Williams batted her eyelashes. She genuinely believes that the Abbott family left her to rot, discarding her like garbage, and that Dr. Lawrence Markham is the only human being on Earth who truly cares for her well-being. The conviction in her voice is absolute, her words dripping with a manufactured venom that chills Kyle to his very core. She defends her captor with the zeal of a brainwashed zealot, viewing Kyle not as a rescuing hero, but as an intruder, an agent of the treacherous Abbott family sent to drag her back into a world of pain and betrayal. The psychological horror rapidly escalates into a devastating physical confrontation that will leave viewers breathless. Driven by her deeply implanted programming and a warped sense of self-preservation, Diane aggressively attacks her own son. She lunges at Kyle with a desperate, feral ferocity, clawing and striking at him in a frantic bid to protect her sanctuary and her savior. Kyle is caught completely off guard, forced to physically defend himself against the woman who gave him life. The choreography of this struggle is deeply tragic. Kyle refuses to strike back, desperately trying to restrain her without causing harm, while pleading with her to remember who she is, to remember his love, and to snap out of the nightmare. But his desperate pleas fall on deaf ears. Diane fights with the adrenaline of a cornered animal, her mind so thoroughly corrupted by Markham's conditioning that she perceives her beloved son as a mortal threat aiming to destroy her newly found, fabricated peace. The emotional toll of this violent encounter on Kyle is immeasurable, plunging him into an abyss of psychological agony. As he grapples with his thrashing, screaming mother, Kyle experiences a profound, soul-crushing despair. The sheer horror of realizing that the danger in this room emanates not just from the unseen mastermind, but from his own flesh and blood, is paralyzing. He is forced to confront the terrifying reality that Dr. Markham has stolen something far more precious than Diane's physical freedom. He has stolen her identity, her memories, and her love for her child. Kyle's heart shatters as he looks into Diane's unrecognizable, hostile eyes, realizing that the rescue mission he risked his life for has morphed into a catastrophic trap. The mother he came to save no longer exists in this moment, replaced by a loyal, programmed soldier willing to kill or be killed for the man who has enslaved her mind. It is at this exact moment of peak vulnerability and familial devastation that the true mastermind of this shadowy conspiracy finally steps out of the darkness. Dr. Lawrence Markham emerges from the periphery of the room, his demeanor chillingly calm, his posture relaxed, and a sickeningly satisfied smile playing on his lips. He does not rush in with a weapon. He simply stands and watches the chaos unfold, basking in the twisted glory of his psychological masterpiece. The juxtaposition of his polished, trustworthy facade against the monstrous reality of a mother violently attacking her son is deeply disturbing. Markham's appearance is a masterclass in villainy, showcasing a man who derives immense, sadistic pleasure from breaking the human spirit. He views Diane not as a patient or a person, but as a successful experiment, a testament to his terrifying ability to completely dominate and rewrite the human mind. Capitalizing on the sheer chaos and Kyle's profound emotional paralysis, Markham effortlessly springs his trap. While Kyle is entirely consumed by the agonizing task of subduing his mother without hurting her, his defenses are completely lowered. Markham moves with calculated precision, utilizing the distraction Diane provides to blindside the Abbott heir. With a swift, brutal strike, Markham neutralizes the physical threat Kyle poses, incapacitating him before Kyle can even register the doctor's approach. As Kyle collapses, his vision blurring and his strength fading, the horrifying truth washes over him. He did not break into a fortress. He walked directly into a meticulously designed snare. Markham had anticipated the rescue attempt, knowing that Kyle's love for Diane would eventually lead him to the mansion, and he used Diane herself as the ultimate, inescapable bait. The capture of Kyle Abbott introduces incredibly serious consequences that will send massive shockwaves throughout the entirety of Genoa City. With both Diane and Kyle now firmly under the sadistic control of Dr. Markham, the Abbott family is uniquely and perilously vulnerable. Jack Abbott, already spiraling into a dark abyss of poor decisions and toxic alliances due to Patty Williams's relentless psychological warfare, is entirely unaware that his son has fallen into the same horrific trap as his wife. Jack's misguided belief that he can manipulate Patty and utilize a nuclear option involving Nikki Newman is blinding him to the true existential threat facing his family. If Jack remains distracted by his own convoluted schemes, Markham will have unfettered access to completely destroy the minds of both Diane and Kyle, potentially turning the Abbott heirs into unrecognizable pawns in a much larger, darker game of revenge and control. This terrifying storyline deeply resonates with the rich, dramatic history of The Young and the Restless, echoing past plots of brainwashing and psychological manipulation, yet elevating the trope to unprecedented levels of clinical horror. While villains like Ian Ward relied on cult-like charisma, and Patty Williams utilized chaotic, delusional unpredictability, Dr. Lawrence Markham represents a far more insidious threat. He is a predator armed with medical authority, psychiatric precision, and a terrifyingly calm demeanor. By cloaking his malevolence in the trusted garb of a medical professional, Markham highlights the horrifying vulnerability of the human mind when subjected to systematic, scientific abuse. This storyline forces viewers to confront the terrifying reality that the most dangerous monsters are often those who hide in plain sight, armed with the knowledge of exactly how to dismantle a person's sanity piece by piece. As the dust settles in the fortified mansion, a suffocating, claustrophobic dread descends upon the narrative. Kyle Abbott awakens to find himself trapped alongside his completely brainwashed mother, fully at the mercy of a man who views them merely as subjects for his twisted psychological experiments. The physical confinement is terrifying, but it is the mental prison that poses the greatest threat. Kyle must now fight a desperate two-front war. He must somehow find a way to survive Markham's impending psychological torture, while simultaneously attempting the seemingly impossible task of breaking through Diane's impenetrable conditioning. Can Kyle's unwavering love and shared history act as the key to unlocking Diane's buried true self, or will he too succumb to the relentless mind-altering tactics of the sinister doctor? The stakes have never been higher, as the very souls of the Abbott family hang delicately in the balance. In conclusion, this explosive development marks a terrifying new chapter in the ongoing saga of Genoa City. The revelation that a seemingly trustworthy figure like Dr. Markham is the mastermind behind Diane's complete psychological subjugation is a chilling reminder